Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world. Dobson 777 Alpha here. Well, I was looking back and it's been a long time since I've done an actual video for you guys. And I was thinking about something and I decided it just kind of all came together. I thought we ought to do a timeline of the U.S. monetary history, and we ought to talk about, some pricing and other things. This is kind of an interesting presentation, so kind of bear with me as we walk through it. And you've probably seen this kind of chart before where it's showing the dollar, the purchasing power of the dollar. And you can see how it's had some ups and downs, but primarily since 1933, it's been down, and it's been a kind of falling off a cliff. This one only goes to 2013, but it really just hasn't changed at all. So this is kind of your overall view of kind of what's happened to our monetary system, and let's go through some of the things. So I found this website that showed some information about the money supply and what a dollar could buy, like back in 1900s or 1907 or so. A pair of patent leather shoes were $1, but today Florsheim $120. In the 1910s, money supply nearly doubled. A dollar could buy a woman's house dress, but now I found these things were $35 to $38. They shrunk the dollar bill size by 25%. And the money supply was in the 1920s 35 billion. So you can see it's nearly tripled at this point in a decade. So a dollar could buy 5 pounds of sugar. Now it's $3.6 for 5-pound bag. Right now they only have 4 pounds because we got shrinkflation, so I compensated for that. 1930s. This is when they tried to criminalize gold. They didn't really outlaw it because I've shown you in past videos that each person was allowed to own. I think it was more than an ounce of gold. So if you had a family, you actually could have many ounces of gold. But U.S. money supply 46 billion. A dollar could buy 16 cans of Campbell's soup. Oh, you know what? That said 16 cans. I miscalculated that. Some of the problems I've had with these is it doesn't tell you the size of the cans. And I believe these were 16-ounce cans at the time. Now they're only 10-ounce cans. So the funny thing is a 16-ounce can equivalent would be $3, but you'd have to multiply it times 16 to get the equivalent. So you can see the big difference in Campbell's soup. 1940s, U.S. money supply went to 55 billion. $1 could buy 20 bottles of Coca-Cola. Now it's roughly $18 for 20. And these are plastic, not the glass ones. Some of you may not realize we used to have glass Coca-Cola bottles. So then 1950s, money supply tripled, $151 billion. So a dollar could buy one Mr. Potato Head, but now Mr. Potato Head at Walmart is $19. Now they were all different kinds. Again, this wasn't very specific which one this was, but it looks like it's a 19 times increase. 1960, money supply went to $211 billion. So $1 could buy 2 movie tickets. Now, I just went online and it's $34 for 2 movie tickets. That's incredible. That's a 34 times increase. So then 1971 is when Nixon ended the direct convertibility of the US dollars to gold for international trade, and the money supply it doubled. You can see we went to 401 billion. So $1 could buy 3 Morton TV dinners, and now it's roughly $6. But again, they don't tell the size. I don't know if there's shrinkflation involved in here or not, but it looks like $6. 1980s, the money supply hit 1.5 trillion, and you could buy 1 bottle of Heinz ketchup. Doesn't tell you the size. So probably was 16 ounce. Don't really know. These are all the sizes we have today, and I couldn't even find a 16 ounce one, but I'm just going to assume it's like a 3 times increase. U.S. money supply in the 1990s, we went to 3.3 trillion. So you can see we doubled in a decade. And a dollar could buy a gallon of milk. Now it's $3 roughly. 2000s, the money supply went to $5 billion. So a Wendy's hamburger was $1, and I could find a junior cheeseburger for $1. God knows what's in those things these days, but it looks like they've held that together. 2010, or I guess 2010s. Let's see, money supply went to, dang, you can see we tripled again, 13.3 trillion. So you can buy one song from iTunes, and I had to do some research because I don't think most people use iTunes anymore, but it looks like it's about $3 a song right now. At the turn of the 20th century, money supply was 7 billion. Today, there's literally 1,900 times more dollars in existence. So I've shown this before, but I think this is worth repeating. This is showing the history of the reserve currency status, and you can see Portugal had it for about 80 years, Spain had it for 110 years, Netherlands had it for 80 years, French franc was 95, British pound was 105, and currently the USA dollar is right at 100 years. So when you look at this, it's like, I think it's almost time, folks. So even between the shifting tide of reserve currencies, there's numerous monetary resets in between these 100-year periods. So we've had monetary overhauls in 1913, 1933, 1945, and 1971. I'm estimating that there could be a 30% loss in purchasing power in first world nations, a catastrophic loss of third world nations like we've seen in Venezuela and others. So then we said, let's go look at gold, how gold has done on here. So has gold held up nicely? From 1970 to 1980, gold and silver increased 17 to 18 times in value. And this was a monetary reset that happens every 40 to 50 years. So that's what this looks like. You get like a moonshot thing here. So from 1970 to present now, we actually have gone up for gold 42 times in value, and silver is about 9 times in value. A while ago, I used some comparisons of like homes that I'd owned in the past, and I looked at, for long periods of time, and I've shown that real estate has a very similar return. Problem with real estate is you have these other costs. So you have, taxes, insurance, repairs, all kinds of stuff. But if you do the leveraged rental properties, you actually will come out ahead of gold by a mile. It's just like your personal residence. It's more of a liability. We talked about precious metals miners. So let's say we're looking up here and we see gold's gone up 42 times. If you were invested in a gold miner, you would go up 4 to 6 times that increase over time. So it's an additional leveraged play that you can do with precious metal miners, and that's why we've talked about doing that. So the next thing was we retooled our monetary system in 1971, where we went off like precious metals for international trade, and they came up with this thing called the Petrodollar. And it was basically they twisted Saudi Arabia's arms and other oil producers' arms to make sure that they only sell oil in US dollars, and then we help them develop their oil fields and actually protect, their oil. And so this has been going on for 50 years roughly, and we're kind of having some problems where these countries are now bypassing the petrodollar. We have countries like China that are now trading, rather than using US dollars, they're using gold or other things. And it's a problem because we're not getting the benefit anymore like we did. And in fact, there's somewhere in here, I'm kind of skipping through this right now. There was, 23 countries are setting up swap lines which bypass the dollar and SWIFT. So some of the bigger countries, China, Russia, India, Germany, France, and the United Kingdom are all bypassing. And the SWIFT system is something that we have been kind of misusing. We kind of spank people. We knock them off the SWIFT system where they can't trade if they're not doing what we want them to do. So a lot of these countries are like, well, screw you, we'll set up our own system. And that's what they're doing. So the petrodollar and SWIFT and everything are kind of being bypassed. And that's another nail in the coffin for our current currency system. So what is the next system going to be? Well, in fact, I wanted to show, since late 2018, I was really started my channel up and told everybody, hey, we need to start really looking at it. There was what I felt was an all-time low back in 2018. And I felt that we were going to do nothing but go up at that time. And we actually had a nice run, and then we've been kind of running sideways for like a year and a half or so. But silver's up 66% and gold's up 49% during that time period. So what is the next thing? Some are saying the special drawing rights, SDR. And this is a little bit of a problem when you are the primary reserve currency. All of a sudden what happens is now you kind of get diluted. So you can see the US dollar and SDR is going to be like 41%, Euro is going to be 31%, Chinese yuan is going to be 11, Japanese yen 8, and pound sterling is 8. So you start seeing that we're going to potentially see a loss of purchasing power when this happens. So that's kind of my my little overview, and trying to tell you that I still think we're in the right spot, and that when things happen, it's going to happen very quickly. You may see this reset may not be over a long period of time. It could be a couple major steps quickly, like 20%, like overnight. You wake up and there's 15-20% where the dollar's been devalued. And a lot of people are going to be shaking their head, what happened? They're not going to understand that all of a sudden now they got to bring a ton more money to buy groceries and everything else. That's kind of what can happen here. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this little show, and I'm going to put a link to my other thing that talks about, precious metals versus fiat currency, and so you can that'll be at the back for a link up that you can click on. I hope everybody's treating you well. I hope you're doing well. Do the best you can. God bless. Doug has a new toy. Doug has a new toy. Let me see it. You got a new toy? You're so happy. It's a little rabbit. Does that make you happy? Whoops. All right, go potty. We gonna go bye-bye? Are we gonna go bye-bye? Here we go bye-bye. Yeah. We gonna go bye-bye? Yeah, all right. You going to get in the car? We're not quite ready. I'm almost ready. You almost ready? Okay. I'll tell you got to walk all around your property and pay attention to things, but I got tons of blackberries that are ready to be harvested, so I got to go get a little cup and fill these things up. I was just shocked when I walked down here. I go, hey, what's that? So guess what? I got a little treat right now. Doug has a new toy. Doug has a new toy. Let me see it. You got a new toy? You're so happy. It's a little rabbit. Does that make you happy? Whoops. Got a little wag going on, huh? Happy boy.